I lost my childhood friends amid chaos, betrayal, breakups, and jealousy. Now they flaunt their bond and I'm left as an outsider. I am still upset with the individuals I cut off from my life, and I feel the need to express my feelings to others and release my emotions. A brief note and some context, all 17 hello. I truly am unsure if this is the appropriate platform, but I want to share that I recognize many of my actions were wrong, and I fully acknowledge that. I understand that my struggles do not justify my behavior, but the things they did to me have been weighing on my mind intensely. For context, I have been friends with Haley, a pseudonym, and Miley, a pseudonym, since the 3rd grade, though I was friends with Miley in the 2nd grade. They have always formed a close-knit group, and I have brought up this issue to them multiple times, including last year and the year prior. However, nothing changed. In 6th grade, Haley had a crush on my then-boyfriend but quickly lost interest. In 7th grade, when I liked him, she claimed she didn't care at all, which was terrible of me, I know, but we were in middle school. We broke up during the summer between sophomore and junior year, but reconciled until this past summer. My ex has always maintained a close relationship with Haley as well. In January, I urged my ex to establish boundaries with Haley, as they had been getting quite cozy together. I repeated this request in February. Both Haley and Miley were aware of the situation and continued to speak negatively about him to me and advised me to be cautious. During this time, I didn't suspect anything was amiss, so I kept hanging out with him, which strained our trio since it seemed like I was distancing myself. Miley grew frustrated and bombarded me with texts in our group chat about it. I defended my position due to the fact the two of them were consistently making plans without me, often FaceTiming without including me, and whenever I sought to call Miley, she would refuse to engage and leave if I joined. I brushed it off at the time, but reflecting back, it should have raised some red flags. She was also sharing numerous posts about how friends would abandon you for their boyfriends, yet even my then-boyfriend observed that they were consistently leaving me out. In March, my childhood dog passed away, and I discovered that my boyfriend had cheated on me. I was struggling deeply. While this does not excuse my actions, I hope it provides some context regarding my ensuing depression. I informed my friends about my dog's death and expressed my need for someone to talk to about my feelings. However, they simply replied with, "Aw, I'm so sorry," before shifting the conversation to something trivial and ignoring me when I attempted to join the discussion. About a week later, during math class, I spotted the girl my boyfriend had cheated on me with engaging with him, but as soon as she noticed me, she left the table. I turned to Haley and asked her to check something on her Instagram. He was unfaithful. While on the phone with her discussing this, my ex and I ended up in a heated argument. It was chaotic. She then began discussing her boyfriend, whom we can refer to as Jason. At that time, she was facing issues in her relationship because her friend Kyle was pressuring him to engage in reckless behavior and cheat on her. Yet she stayed with him and mentioned her attraction to my then-boyfriend's twin brother, even though she had briefly dated him before getting rejected. We vented about our distressing situations, and then Miley joined our call. She seemed indifferent about what was happening but wanted to see the girls involved. There were two. She commented on their attractiveness, and while Haley agreed, she made an effort to defend me. Ultimately, I chose to stay with my boyfriend, which became my burden. As April arrived, I became increasingly irritable. I felt insecure about myself and began to act testily. I had a dispute with Miley over the price of a trip, which was quite trivial, and refused to admit my fault. Additionally, I was feeling envious and upset because both of them were quite affluent, while my single mother was struggling and lacked a stable income. However, Miley constantly lamented about her mother's financial struggles while simultaneously flaunting her trips and luxury gifts. In May, Haley invited me to join a summer trip, and Miley invited both of us to concerts, with parental approval. In June, Miley claimed she was modifying the concert arrangements. She kept mentioning the potential profits from selling concert tickets and proposed going to other events, even asking us to relinquish a ticket for one of her friends, whom she had been criticizing. Initially, we were not supposed to pay for anything, which was fine. Yet, she later insisted that we should split the costs and eventually cover the full price. Haley was also puzzled, but agreed. Miley requested that we provide her with the money. My mother was made aware of these changes, and when I pointed out how peculiar it all seemed, she informed Miley's mother. About an hour later, Miley bombarded the group chat asking, "Who snitched?" I openly admitted that I had discussed the changes with my mother, but I never instructed her to inform Miley's mom and did not intend for it to escalate. This resulted in yet another major argument, and Miley nearly ceased all communication with me. In July, we had the trip and a complicated breakup. Haley and I went on a trip to another state, California, which is not very relevant. I was incredibly grateful for the opportunity and kept thanking her parents. However, there were 3 significant moments during the trip. First, the night before our departure, she began discussing what Miley did the day prior. Second, her younger sister kept telling me that if Miley had not been unable to attend, I wouldn't be there. She also asked Haley, "What would you do if I couldn't come?" To which her response was, "Miley," followed by her sister stating, "But she couldn't come." Third, though it was completely my fault, a tour was announced and I expressed my desire to attend and buy tickets since I had saved enough money. Haley said it fell on a weekday, so she likely wouldn't be able to go, but I persisted until I realized I was being unreasonable and apologized. About a week later, my ex and I broke up, and it was a messy situation. I gradually distanced myself from him as I kept thinking about the other girls. I should have left sooner, and this is on me. But he insisted that he couldn't trust me while on vacation. When I brought up his infidelity, he replied that he couldn't trust me either, citing my brief conversations with a few guys after our summer breakup. Nothing further occurred. He even called me a derogatory term. Consequently, I ended things with him. After I shared what transpired, both Miley and Haley began hurling insults at him. This brings me to August. 2 family members passed away, coinciding with Haley's birthday. She messaged me, "Do you want to hang out on Saturday?" Her birthday. At this point, I had come to the realization that I could no longer be friends with them due to the close bond Haley developed with my ex after our breakup, as they were constantly texting, calling, and discussing him, even after disparaging him. I understand we all shared a friendship before my relationship with him, but that wasn't fair to him, either, to be spoken about in that manner. I also felt increasingly excluded due to the previous controversies surrounding the concerts, and eventually, during this time, my mother informed me I couldn't attend events due to the disrespect I was facing. Ultimately, I felt like a mere extra friend in their lives. On the same day, I had a funeral to attend. I informed her I couldn't go, and her response was, "Yikes, who died?" I left her message unanswered and have not heard from them since, other than noticing them posting duo content on Instagram. My ex and I remained friends, and he noted that when they publicly acknowledged my birthday, they used unflattering photos of me and short messages, while for Haley, it was beautiful pictures and lengthy messages. In September, I began to gradually ignore them at school, and they did not acknowledge it. My ex and I shared some classes, and after he changed his schedule, we lost contact. However, they suddenly texted the group chat with a brief, random conversation. I did not respond, and that was the last I heard from them. Now we arrive at November. An old mutual friend contacted me, and after playing some games, she brought up Haley. She said, "I don't know if you're friends or not, but please don't tell her," which made me realize she might relay whatever I shared with her. I've had a handful of people inquire about what transpired, but I've simply replied, "We just grew apart." When she went on to say, "She's been quite unpleasant," and shared some negative actions that Haley had taken toward her, I decided to be completely honest. If she chose to utilize the information, that was her choice. Otherwise, if she discussed it with them, I wanted them to know how I felt. I discovered that Haley is in a relationship with my ex, but she remains friends with all 5 of her former partners, despite the numerous near-breakup arguments I had with my ex, during which he referred to her dismissively. She started relationships with each of her exes while involved with another, which is noteworthy. They began to speak negatively about me, and even criticized a post I had up from our trip, among other details I won't mention here due to their specificity. This brings me to the present. I have not heard from that mutual friend again. I removed that post a few weeks ago since some of Haley and Miley's friends started following me on Instagram, so I deleted it. However, I have recently noticed being unfollowed and discussed unfavorably by numerous individuals. Haley displayed her relationship with my ex to flaunt it. With the way others have been acting around me lately and the gossip occurring right in front of me, with many of these individuals being strangers, I cannot stop thinking about them, and I genuinely contemplate whether I should have taken a different approach and confronted them directly.